We are change. We are change. All right. We're living large. It's the holiday season and we're in Honolulu. I'm RJ Hampton, so you don't have to be. And you know who this is.
Mike Dominguez. Well, you know, from island to island, from state to state, from coast to coast, bringing you news and information. ChoosTheTruth.net. Hawaii, we are change. Just doing it, doing it. Wherever there's news, we will be there.
Say we can have high-speed internet, so we can have our studio. You know, that's what we need.
Everything about our everyday lives has to change.
We are change. We are change. We are change. We are change. Freedom. I said freedom. Free your mind from mental, physical slavery. We are free, we are free, we are changed, we are changed.
We are change is about truth. We are change is about love. We are change is about knowledge. And together, we can make a change.
What they do in Hawaii, and we have photographs from the airplane, they spray offshore. So when it comes in, it appears to, it gives a cirrus cloud look. However, that has been tested, and of course it is not a cirrus cloud. It's aluminum, barium, strontium, and we can only guess what else they're putting in the mix. So a lot of what we see today, I'm not sure if this is aerosol. What it looks like, it looks like cotton candy. I call it the cotton candy look. So it looks like a cloud that has been stretched, and you can kind of see the lines. You can see a little bit. I believe it is. Yeah, this stuff.
It's laying heavy, it ain't moving.
So the chemtrails that we see here would be different than the chemtrails you see on the mainland, because the mainland is sprayed directly over the population. Over here it's sprayed out on the ocean and it comes in through the winds.
That's right. Well, even in LA, sometimes they spray offshore and you can see the aerosols that come in, but typically we see the airplanes overhead. Not so much in Hawaii. We did see a couple over Maui this past week, actual spraying that was occurring, but it's very rare. Typically they are offshore, and it appears that they're trying to target, you know, the islands, whether it's the soil toxification that they're going after. You know, we can only guess what the agenda is behind that. But it's also on numerous, if you look at satellite imagery, you can clearly see the aerosol spraying. So there are some programs on the internet where you can get satellite imagery and see the lines.
All right, you do know what day it is and you do know what time it is, and you are watching Hawaii. We are Change TV. You recognize the man, Mike Dominguez, the producer. Yours truly, host RJ Hampton, and we have excellent guests. One is a regular on our show, Sherri Kane. Guess where we are? We're on the boat in the harbor. And our other guest is Michael J. Murphy. And the reason we have him is because we're going to be interrogating him about his newest and latest work. What in the world are they spraying? Now, some people say art is an answer to a question. Well, this piece of art, and I do consider making videos and trying to get the truth out an art form, is definitely answering a very good question. And with that, let's not waste any more time. Mike, I want to thank you, first of all, for making the arrangements to put us together, because I'll tell you something, I've been dealing with aerosols for a long time, and you can't have chemtrails without aerosol, or the idea of aerosol, because it has to be mixed and then it has to be sprayed. With that, I want to welcome you on to the outdoor set of Hawaii We Are Changing. And Mike, I want you to tell the viewers, because we're really informal. We try to give the makers and shakers and the people that are making the news and educating the people a forum in which to express the intentions and tell the story behind this here video in terms of where you were then and where this story is today. So why don't you give us a little overview about this?
Well, What in the World Are They Spraying is an investigative documentary into the world of geoengineering, also called the chemtrail issue. So we literally went around the world to investigate this new science, again called geoengineering. So what we found was deeply shocking because as many people know, geoengineers have proposed spraying 10 to 20 million tons of toxic aluminum into the sky for the stated goal of cooling the planet. However, when asked if these programs have currently been deployed, they blatantly deny it. However, during our investigation, we found massive amounts of aluminum, barium, and strontium in rain, snow, and soil. Of course, those are all very toxic, not only to human health, but to ecosystems. And we're seeing a decline in both.
Now, the whole idea of, when I was coming up, I was born in '52, that was the age of the atomic bomb. I'm wondering if in all your studies you mentioned strontium-90 or strontium, you mentioned other things, barium. Is it possible that this conspiracy of a sort, this chemtrail situation, was a idea that they cooked up to cover their tracks as being the contaminators of all time? Did that ever come up? Because that's Boss RJ's theory.
Well, I think there are a lot of theories involved with these programs. However, you know, they are multi-agenda operations, so they're not only one thing. There are many different purposes for these. Many people believe that it is in part eugenics, as we had discussed earlier. Also, perhaps there's a link to the GMO seed connection, because soils are being toxified. As we brought out in the film, there is a new GMO aluminum resistant seed that can grow in this new environment. Of course, we have now aluminum toxicity in soils around the world where the spraying is occurring, and other people believe that it's in part an agenda to control the weather. And our own government, the military, has produced a study and a paper which is readily available called Owning the Weather by 2025, which again is an express goal of our military. So there are many different applications, and those are just the beginning, but I think there's much more that we have yet to investigate and uncover on this.
Yeah, you know, folks, part of this whole thing is that there is an agenda, and it's not a conspiracy. There's actually an agenda. These people get money. Congress absolutely appropriates large sums of money. Private foundations, universities. Where are some of the universities, when you went looking, the people that do studies, where do these guys come from? What are some of the universities that are advancing these new technologies and things?
That's a good question, and one of the leading geoengineers who we have in the film is David Keith. Of course, he's from the University of Calgary, obviously funded and very much of a promoter. He also has a company that would benefit financially from geoengineering operations, or already does. And then we can also look at some of the deeper funding. Of course, Bill Gates, who has a root in eugenics in his family. His family was intimately involved with Margaret Sanger, who developed Planned Parenthood for the stated goal, and I quote, to get rid of what she called the Negro problem. So they definitely targeted certain populations. However, we look at the geoengineering issue, where eugenics typically in the past targeted certain races. This is not racial specific. It targets every human being. So it's deeply concerning to many of us who are aware.
Michael, why don't you tell us about some of the places where you visited, and some of the people that called you? Some of the little bit of the juicy backgrounds of some of the areas in which you came, and some of the interesting experiences that you had on the road.
Well, it was definitely an interesting trip. We started out in San Diego at the American Association for the Advancement of Science meeting, where geoengineers proposed spraying 10 to 20 million tons of toxic aluminum into our skies for what they said was the stated goal of cooling the planet. However, as we discussed, again, there appears to be multi-agendas behind these operations. One, of course, is eugenics, which we had discussed, and we know that the Rockefellers and also the Rothschild families, and of course Bill Gates, who who is a funder into geoengineering, has ties and intimately has funded eugenics programs throughout history. So that's where our program started. However, we traveled all the way out to Belgium, here in Hawaii, not here in Honolulu, but we went to an organic farm on a remote part of Maui, and it was a very interesting trip. For the first time in my life, I completely lived off of the grid, not dependent on any corporate stores or anything, on this farm where the people there grow their own food. And it's a very, to me, it was a very beautiful lifestyle and a very respectable lifestyle. But I left again with concerns, and I was just there last week, and what they're seeing is a decline in the yields in the fruit in the foods that are growing. Of course, Maui is getting sprayed very heavily, as tests have revealed massive amounts of aluminum and barium, strontium as well, which are of course toxifying the soil. So we believe that that is part of the agenda to literally kill off anything that's natural and organic, so that farmers and other people will be dependent on a new aluminum-resistant seed that was developed at Cornell University in 2009. So it's a deep concern for us. Other places that we went, of course, we went to Belgium. In Belgium, there was the first annual chemtrail symposium. People gathered from around the world, experts, professors, people, health care professionals, politicians who are aware of the issue, and we addressed that issue. I spoke, of course, as well. And then we went out to Arizona, and of course we filmed quite a bit in California, Northern California as well, where they're seeing massive die-offs in the forests up there. Of course, it appears to be due to the pH changes. They have seen profound changes in the past 7 years. The soil pH has increased at a minimum 12 times the normal pH, up to 18 times the normal pH. Anything that's natural and organic that requires an acidic soil will begin to die when a soil becomes alkaline. Exactly what's happening. Of course, test results from that area reveal massive toxicity from aluminum, barium, and strontium as well. So they're seeing profound change.
Really hammers home the effects chemically. You see, we're talking about chemistry of the atmosphere.